Let's talk more about the mass shooting that claimed the lives of 8 people in Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape. We're joined by the Institute for Security Studies researcher, Willem Els. A very good evening to you, Willem. Good to have your time. So mass shootings in South Africa. We're having this conversation last year after the tavern shooting in Soweto here in Gauteng. And now 8 people killed during a birthday celebration. How uncommon is it for this to happen?
Good evening to you, Tim Kile. Unfortunately, it is not that uncommon. It's been coming with us for a long time. If you just think back about how a paradigm has been set within the taxi industry, for instance, where we see that turf wars and routes and scores are being settled by assassinations and targeted assassinations. But that's unfortunately not the only place where that is happening. We see in the Cape Flats, in the gangs, where that happens almost on a daily basis. And also, as you rightly mentioned now last year when we spoke about the tavern shooting. So all of these actually is not so uncommon. We see that between the 2017-2018 book year and the 2019-2020 book year, there was a 50% rise in targeted shooting or assassinations in South Africa. And that also contributed at the end of the day to South Africa being mentioned and being graded as a mafia state in the same bracket as countries like Italy as well as Brazil and Mexico.
But when gunmen arrive and shoot people who are at a birthday celebration, killing 8 of them and I think wounding about 3 others, that suggests, does it not, that this was more than just a random crime, that it may very well have been very premeditated?
I think you're right. We have to look at this as a organized crime that has been committed. We have to look at that as premeditated, as is the norm with all the other shootings that we have mentioned. That is your challenge that you have within this industry of the organized crime syndicates that put them out as trained assassins, and then for money they go and they perform these assassinations. We also remember now the Israeli syndicate that was arrested in Bryanston late last year that even had a truck that was equipped to be an assassination truck where they can use for sniping at their victims. So this is something that is really very cumbersome.
Mm-hmm. And the industry, when you look at assassins, for want of a better word, the councillor was just suggesting, speaking to our team earlier in Gqeberha, that they believe that the people who come in to commit these crimes come from elsewhere and are hired basically to do it. The Moerane Commission of Inquiry that looked into political killings in KwaZulu-Natal spoke about hitmen around the Glebelands hostel area. And I wonder if the country's security and intelligence services are well aware and able to get a grip on the situation around basically hired guns.
Yes, for once I think you are right. We also saw that the targeted assassinations that took place in Cape Town, the people that have been arrested have also been from KwaZulu-Natal. We also saw last week where a police officer in KwaZulu-Natal and his family have been assassinated. So that is a challenge. You mentioned intelligence and the law enforcement fraternity. Unfortunately, that's one of our big challenges. We all know, and it also came out in the Mahdi report, how challenged our crime intelligence and intelligence services are. And they are the eyes and the ears of the police in order to prevent these type of things when they can gather intelligence. But also we sit with a random lack of capacity within the police in terms of equipment, in terms of vehicles to respond, in terms of good training. We also sit with a challenge that we do not have the capacity of specialized investigators to investigate all these cases. With that, I don't say that we don't have, we do have, and they're working very hard, but we get the feeling and the impression that these people are really overwhelmed by this, what we would refer to as a perfect storm on organized crime that has hit South Africa.
Brings me to my next point then, the visit today by the National Police Commissioner Fanie Masemola and the Police Minister Bheki Cele. We've seen these visits before, but they're not always followed by actual concrete progress in the criminal investigation, i.e. arrests and conviction. So what point do they serve beyond the photo op of a government minister and a commissioner who are seen to be commiserating with the family and pledging action?
Yeah, of course, there are political points to be scored, but what we saw in the past where some high-profile visit has taken place, we saw that they then established a task team compiled of various specialized investigators and people in that task team, and then they throw resources at that, they make resources available to this task team, and then normally you get a result. So, but there is also a window of opportunity that must be filled, and if we pass that, we miss that window of opportunity, it becomes more difficult to make an immediate arrest and to make a breakthrough in cases like these.
But at a very basic level, we can't get this sort of thing right, can we, as a country, until we've dealt with just the high number of weapons in circulation, both legal and illegal?
That is correct. You know, I mentioned that we're being graded as a mafia state now, and you know, if you look at Italy, for instance, for the past 30-odd years, they've been combating this mafia state and this crime and organized crime within Italy, the mafia and all the extortions, and of course all the assassinations where judges and police and even the brother of the current president has been assassinated by these people. So we have to take a leaf from their book and see how they did it. And what we see is that, first of all, you need the political will. You need to really have a political will to address that, and from that, you have to have a very good strategy. You have to allocate resources. You have to come up with a structured plan, and from there on, you have to combat. And that plan will, of course, include your reduction of your illegal firearms in the community, etc., etc. But once we said that, we must just remember one thing. You know, the trust in the police is not what it can be. But the eyes and the ears of the police, and that will contribute to solving this situation, is when the community take hands with the police. And that is currently lacking. We have to work on that as well.
Willem Els with the Institute for Security Studies, researcher there. Thank you for your time tonight, as always.